The advent of this project is actually really interesting. Back in 2011, pine trees mysteriously started dying. So Detroit News, I think, was one of the first to pick this up, but turns out what it was is DuPont was selling landscapers an herbicide called Imprellis. And it was advertised as being very earth-friendly and, good for the environment. And ironically and very disturbingly, it was actually killing pine trees and certain kinds of shrubs. So that happened here at the library. And we went through a process and we ended up getting 2 different settlement checks from DuPont for these dead trees. So out of that settlement money, we replaced them, but we still had a fair amount of money left. So the library board decided, let's do something special with that money. And they came up with the idea of an arts fund. So we would do special projects here at the library that are sort of outside the normal workings of the library. And so this wild bird discovery here behind me is the first project that we did. So after we decided to make the arts fund, I determined that we really needed a committee. So I gathered a committee. Some of them were library board members, and then about half of them were people in the community that had an interest in the arts. One of our committee members, and actually she's our committee chair, Valerie Mann, she suggested that we connect with a sculptor. His name is Kenneth Thompson, and that he does lots of big outdoor sculpture, particularly for municipalities. And said, it's a public library, we want something that's family friendly, educational would be good, and we'd like it about birds. So Ken took those ideas and he came up with this idea and brought it in, and we were just blown away. We thought, wow, this is so interesting and people will love it. And we signed on the dotted line, and this is what we got. So we had decided that we really wanted these birds to be native to Southeast Michigan, and with the possibility that people could see them here on library property. We looked at pictures and then came up with the various panels. There's 15 different panels, each one's a different bird, and then we have the stainless steel cutouts behind me. One of the things that's neat about the red-tailed hawk behind me is that it actually moves in the wind. So we figured out where to place it, decided this was the best place because it's very visible from the parking lot. And it is constructed of, we have a concrete base, and it's in a half circle. And then there's a panel with the 15 different birds, and they're cut out. So kids could actually take paper to this and do a rubbing on it. And then there's a description on each bird. Then also in the concrete, we have 15 squares, and the plan is that every year we will solicit poetry about birds and then get that engraved and place that in this half circle. Our first poem is very special to us. It was recited by Ivy, who is 3 years old, and she said this poem, and Ken used it as a sample of what we could have. We loved the poem so much that we decided Ivy should have the first place. The other piece to this installation that is very exciting is that we have birdhouses. Ken installed 5 posts around the detention pond, and there are 5 birdhouses, and this is very fun. Jeff Gillow teaches woodworking at the middle school, so he asked his 7th and 8th grade students if they would build the birdhouses for this first year. So they did, and they're up, and they're all different, and they're fun too. So that's the idea. Every year we can put in a new poem. We can also change out the birdhouses, and we're hoping that classes will come here for field trips, and just expect that as people walk by on the sidewalk, they'll stop and read and learn about some birds.